You're gonna have to pay for that.
Please, I need this job.
Well, you should have been more careful then.
Before we continue, I'd like to take a moment to thank everyone who has supported this channel in one way or another. Every view, like, comment, and subscription truly means so much to us. If you're new here, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next story. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? Thank you for being part of our journey. Now, let's get back to the story. The iron gates looked like they could swallow a person whole. Adjoa Mensah stood outside, watching a young woman rush past her, sobbing into her phone. The woman's uniform was still crisp, her name tag still pinned to her chest. She hadn't even lasted a full day. You running too? Mrs. Kang's voice came from behind the gate. The older woman's face carried the exhaustion of someone who had seen this scene too many times. Adjoa tightened her grip on her purse. Inside was a hospital bill with numbers that made her stomach hurt. No, ma'am, I'm here for the job. Mrs. Kang's eyes swept over her, taking in her dark skin, her second-hand clothes, the determination set in her jaw. You know what happened to her? She pointed at the crying woman disappearing down the street. I can guess. And you still want to come in? Adjoa thought of Kofi in that hospital bed back in Accra, his 16-year-old body getting thinner each week. The tumor was growing. The doctors had given him 3 months, maybe 4. This job paid 3 times what anywhere else offered. I don't have the luxury of wanting, Mrs. Kang. I need this. Something shifted in the older woman's expression. She opened the gate. The mansion sprawled before them, all sharp angles and cold stone. Adjoa had cleaned houses before, but never anything like this. The silence felt heavy, like the building itself was holding its breath. The master is never home, Mrs. Kang explained as they walked. His business keeps him busy. You'll deal with his son, the one who makes the maids cry. Park Jin-sang. Mrs. Kang's voice dropped. He's 26 but acts like a demon, breaks things, says terrible things. The last maid, he filmed her crying and showed it to his friends. The one before that, he destroyed in front of dinner guests. Adjoa's stomach twisted, but she kept walking. Why does his father allow it? Guilt, maybe. The boy's mother died 5 years ago. He's been like this ever since. Mrs. Kang stopped at a small room near the kitchen. This is yours. Keep your valuables locked. Don't talk back to him. Don't cry where he can see. And whatever you do, don't expect him to change. That night, Adjoa unpacked her single suitcase. A photo of her family sat on top, her parents smiling, back when they were alive. Below that, a recent picture of Kofi, his smile brave despite the IV in his arm. She pressed it to her chest. Just 60 days, she whispered to herself. Survive 60 days. Save enough for the surgery deposit. You can do this. She marked an X on her calendar. Day 1. The first day, she didn't see Jin-sang at all. She cleaned the guest rooms, the hallways, the kitchen that looked barely used. The house felt like a museum, beautiful and lifeless. The second day, she heard him, footsteps stumbling down the hallway at 3 in the afternoon. The clink of glass against wall. Adjoa was dusting the second floor when he appeared. Park Jin-sang looked like he hadn't slept in days. His hair fell into bloodshot eyes, his expensive clothes wrinkled and stained. He carried a whiskey bottle loosely in one hand. When he saw her, he stopped. What are you? His Korean was slurred, but the contempt cut through clearly. Adjoa had practiced this moment. She bowed slightly, kept her voice steady. The new maid, sir. He moved closer, studying her face with an intensity that made her skin crawl. You're not from here. No, sir. Ghana. Ghana. He said it like it was something bitter in his mouth. Then he pulled out his phone. Say that again. Tell me where you're from. She saw the camera pointed at her. Her heart sank. Sir, I'd prefer. I didn't ask what you prefer. Say it. Her jaw tightened. She needed this job. I'm from Ghana, sir. He laughed, cruel and sharp. My friends won't believe this. They actually hired someone from Africa to touch our things. He circled her with the phone. Can you even read Korean, or did they just point you at the dirt? 60 days, she thought. Just 60 days. I can read Korean, sir. Prove it. He pointed to a painting on the wall. Read the inscription. She read it perfectly, her accent thick, but the words correct. He looked almost disappointed. Then he deliberately knocked a vase off the nearby table. It shattered at her feet, pieces scattering across the polished wood. Clean it. I want to show my friends what we're paying you for. He filmed her kneeling, picking up broken ceramic, while he narrated mockingly. See? Diversity higher. Isn't my father progressive? Adjoa's hands shook, but she kept her face blank. When she looked up, he was waiting for tears. Instead, she asked quietly, Are you finished, sir? Something flickered in his eyes. Surprise, maybe. Then anger that she wasn't playing his game. He stopped recording and stumbled away. Adjoa finished cleaning, then locked herself in her bathroom and cried silently for 20 minutes. The three brought worse. She found all her white uniforms stained pink. Someone had thrown red fabric into the wash. The maids only had 2 sets of clothes each. Mrs. Kang saw them and sighed. I'll get you new ones. Adjoa said nothing, just wore the pink-stained uniform. In her room that night, she opened her calendar. 2 X's now, 58 days to go. Could she really do this? Day 5, everything shattered. Park Dae-jung was hosting a dinner party. 8 men in expensive suits, their eyes cold and calculating. Adjoa recognized the type. Her father had warned her about men like this before he died. Dangerous men. She was serving the 3rd course when Jin Sang, already drunk, spoke loudly. Tell me, he said, gesturing at Adjoa with his glass. Do we need to worry about diseases? I read that immigrants from certain countries carry all sorts of things. Hakoch. The table went quiet. Jin Sang. His father's voice carried a warning. What? It's a legitimate concern. We don't know what she might be carrying. He looked directly at her. Have you been tested? For everything. The men at the table shifted uncomfortably. Some looked away. Others watched with cruel curiosity. Adjoa's hand trembled as she set down the dish. The room felt too hot, too small. Every eye was on her. I'm healthy, sir, she managed. Are you, though? I mean, where you're from, they don't have the same standards. You could be spreading something right now, touching our food. One of the guests actually pushed his plate away. Adjoa felt something crack inside her chest. This wasn't just cruelty. This was humiliation. Public, calculated, designed to break her. A tear slid down her cheek before she could stop it. Jin Sang saw it and smiled. Jin Sang, enough. Park Dae-jung's voice was sharp now. But the damage was done. Adjoa turned and walked out, her vision blurring. Behind her, she heard awkward laughter, the conversation moving on like she was nothing. She made it to her room before collapsing. Mrs. Kang found her an hour later, still crying. I'm so sorry you had to endure that. I can't do this, Adjoa whispered. I can't, it's too much. I know. Kofi needs the money, but I can't let someone destroy me like this. She was shaking. What's the point of saving his life if I lose myself? Mrs. Kang had no answer. That night, Adjoa looked up flights to Accra. She had enough saved for a one-way ticket. Not enough for the surgery, but enough to go home with some dignity intact. Her finger hovered over the purchase button. Then her phone rang. Kofi, his voice weak. Sister, the doctors say I have maybe 8 weeks now. The tumor is growing faster. He tried to sound brave. But don't worry. Whatever happens, you did your best. I love you. Adjoa closed the flight's website. She marked another X on her calendar with shaking hands. 55 days to go. The next week was worse. Jin Sang seemed energized by her public humiliation. He accidentally spilled soup on her twice. He mocked her accent every time she spoke. He played the video he'd taken to Minjun, his friend, laughing while Adjoa cleaned nearby. Look at her face, he said loud enough for her to hear. So serious, like cleaning is some noble profession. Minjun looked uncomfortable. Maybe what? She's paid to serve. I'm paying her to entertain me too. Adjoa scrubbed the same spot on the floor over and over, her jaw clenched so tight it ached. That night, she opened the flight website again. Stared at it for an hour. 51 days to go. Could she survive 51 more days of this? Day 14, she received letters from home. Her sister Ama's careful handwriting, Kofi's shaky scrawl, her youngest brother's drawing of their family. She kept them in her drawer, read them before bed. They were the only things that made her feel human. The next morning, she found them torn to pieces on her floor. Something inside Adjoa snapped. She didn't think, didn't plan. She marched to Jinsang's room, pushed the door open without knocking. He was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. "You can hurt me," she said, her voice shaking with rage. "I need this job, so I'll take your cruelty. But my family?" Her voice dropped, dangerous. "My family is sacred." Touch their words again, and I don't care about the money. I will make you regret it. Jinsang sat up, genuinely shocked. No one had confronted him in months. "Do you understand me?" She didn't yell, didn't need to. Her eyes held a fury that made him lean back. "I understand." She left, slamming the door. In her room, she taped the torn letters back together with shaking hands, crying over each ripped word. Then she marked her calendar. 47 days to go. She didn't know if she'd make it. Day 16. Jin-sang came home at 2 in the morning, completely drunk. He found Adjoa in the garden, kneeling in prayer. The moonlight caught her face, tears streaming as she whispered in Twi. "What are you doing?" He stumbled toward her. She finished her prayer before turning, praying. For what? Money, escape. He laughed bitterly. "I'm praying for strength, to survive you for 45 more days." Her voice was flat, exhausted. "And I'm praying for you too." He froze. "You're suffering," she continued, "more than I am. Whatever made you like this, I pray you find peace. Because this," she gestured between them, "this is killing us both." The words hit him like cold water. No one had acknowledged his pain. They only feared his anger. "You don't know anything about me. I know hurt when I see it. You're drowning, so you're pulling everyone down with you." He wanted to yell, to break something. Instead, he saw her phone on the garden table, the wallpaper showing a boy in a hospital bed. "Who's that?" "My brother Kofi. He's dying." Her voice cracked. "I'm counting days until I have enough money to save him. You're making me count days until I break. We'll see which comes first." Something about the hospital image triggered Jin-sang. Memories flooded back. His mother's room, the machines, his absence. In a moment of blind rage and pain, he grabbed Adjoa's phone and threw it against the garden wall. It shattered. For 3 seconds, neither moved. Then Adjoa made a sound like a wounded animal. She lunged at him, grabbed his shirt with both hands, shook him with strength born of pure rage. That phone had the only photos I have of my dying brother, the only way I can call the hospital. She was screaming now, something breaking loose. "You cruel, evil, selfish child. I hate you. I hate you." Then she collapsed sobbing, not delicate tears, gut-wrenching, soul-deep sobs. "I can't do this anymore. I can't. God, why is this so hard? I just want to save him. Why do I have to suffer like this? What did I do?" She was rocking back and forth. "I want to go home. I want my parents. I want someone to save me for once." Jin-sang stood frozen, watching her completely break apart. And for the first time in 5 years, he felt something besides his own pain. Shame. Deep, crushing shame. He saw himself through her eyes, a monster, a bully who tortured someone already suffering. He saw his mother's face, disappointed, heartbroken. "Adjoa, get away from me." She screamed it with such force he stepped back. "Just leave me alone. You won. You broke me. Are you happy now?" He walked away, her sobs following him. In his room, Jin-sang looked at himself in the mirror, really looked, and hated what he saw. He stayed up all night, making calls, spending money, trying to fix what he'd broken. Adjoa woke to find a new phone on her bedside table. Latest model, her photos already transferred. A note in Korean. Your photos are restored. I'll pay for any calls to the hospital. I'm sorry isn't enough, but I'm sorry. Park Jin-sang. She stared at it, numb. Was this another game? Another way to hurt her? But when she turned on the phone, everything was there, even photos she thought were lost forever. She found Jin-sang in the kitchen, sober, showered, looking like he hadn't slept. Mrs. Kang was watching him with wide eyes. Adjoa, he stood when she entered. I don't know how to do this. Apologizing. Then don't bother. Her voice was ice. Please, just listen. His hands were shaking. What I did, what I've been doing, it's unforgivable. You're right. I'm cruel and selfish and I've been taking my pain out on you. Why should I believe this isn't another game? Because I saw your face last night. I saw what I've done to you. His voice cracked. You looked like I felt when my mother died, broken, and I did that to you. Adjoa's hands clenched into fists. You humiliated me in front of those men. You made me feel less than human. You destroyed the only things I had left of my family. An apology doesn't fix that. I know. I've been counting days until I could leave. 44 more days, then I was gone. Jin-sang flinched. But Kofi doesn't have 44 days. Her voice broke. So I'm trapped here, with you. And I hate it. I hate you for making me choose between my dignity and my brother's life. I'm so sorry. Stop saying that. She was crying now, angry tears. Sorry doesn't give me back the last 2 weeks. Sorry doesn't erase that video you took. Sorry doesn't. I deleted it. He pulled out his phone, showed her. The video, all of them. I deleted everything. And I'll do anything else you need. Anything to make this even slightly better. She stared at him, searching his face for the lie. But all she saw was genuine remorse. Why now? What changed? You said I was drowning. You were right. And I've been so focused on my own drowning that I didn't see I was holding your head underwater too. He sat down heavily. My mother died 5 years ago. I was at a club, drunk, useless. The hospital called 17 times. I didn't answer. By the time I got there, she was gone. His voice shattered. The last thing I said to her was that I hated how she worried. She died thinking I hated her. Tears ran down his face. I've been punishing everyone since then. Punishing myself, but mostly punishing anyone who showed me kindness, because I didn't deserve it. Adjoa said nothing, just listened. You're trying to save your brother. I couldn't save my mother. And instead of helping you, I've been destroying you. He looked at her with red eyes. I'm a monster. You should leave. You should run. But if you stay, I swear I'll change. I'll be better. Stop. Adjoa held up a hand. She was exhausted. I don't trust you, Jin-sang. You've hurt me too much. I know. But I need this job. So here's what's going to happen. Her voice was steel. You will leave me alone. Completely. No talking, no tests, nothing. I'll do my work, collect my pay, and in 44 days, I'll leave and never think about you again. Okay. If you hurt me one more time, I'm gone. Money or not. Kofi or not. I'll leave and you'll never see me again. Understand? I understand. She turned to go, then stopped. Why did you tell me about your mother? Because you told me about Kofi. And I realized we're both just trying to survive our pain. I'm just doing it badly. Adjoa left without responding. Over the next week, Jin-sang kept his distance.
Please, I need this
but
job.
Adjoa noticed
Well, you should
small
have been more
changes.
careful then.
He stopped drinking, started eating meals sober, cleaned up after himself. She didn't acknowledge it, just did her work, counted her days, 37 to go. Then one morning, she found an envelope under her door. Inside, a check, enough to cover Kofi's surgery, all of it. Her hands shook as she read the note. Let me help save him. Please, you shouldn't have to count days and suffer. He needs treatment now. Take it. No strings. Park Jin-sang. Adjoa stared at the check, then marched to Jin-sang's room. He opened the door, looking nervous. What is this? She held up the check. A chance for you to save your brother without suffering anymore. I can't accept this. Why not? Because I don't trust you. Her voice rose. How do I know this isn't some twisted game, that you won't hold it over me or use it to hurt me later? I won't. How do I know that? She was crying again, frustrated tears. You've spent 2 weeks destroying me. Now you want to save my brother. That doesn't make sense. Jinsang stepped forward, then stopped, remembering she didn't want him close. I can't undo what I did. I can't give you back your peace or your dignity. But I can do this. I can help save Kofi. Why? Because you saved me. I didn't save you. I hate you. You showed me what I'd become. That's a kind of saving. He looked at her with such raw honesty it hurt. Please, let me do one good thing. For him, for you, for my mother who would have helped if she were alive. Adjoa looked at the check, then at him. Every instinct screamed not to trust him. But Kofi was dying. If this is a game, it's not. I swear on my mother's grave, it's not. She took a shaky breath. Okay, but I'm paying you back. Every cent. Understand? You don't have to. I do, because I won't owe you anything. Her eyes were hard. We're not friends, Jinsang. This doesn't fix what you did. This is a transaction. Nothing more. I understand. She left with the check, her heart pounding. In her room, she called the hospital in Accra, arranged everything. Kofi would have his surgery within the week. Then she sat on her bed and cried, relief, confusion, fear, all mixed together. What was Jinsang's game? Why was he really doing this? And why did part of her want to believe he'd actually changed? She marked her calendar. 35 days until she could leave this confusing, painful place behind. Could she survive 35 more days? What happens when Jinsang's father finds out about the check? Will Jinsang's change last, or is he already planning his next move? 3 weeks passed. Kofi arrived in Seoul, thin and weak but smiling. The surgery was scheduled immediately. Jinsang had arranged everything. The best doctors, a private room, everything. Adjoa sat in the waiting room, praying in Twi, her whole body tense. Jinsang had offered to wait with her, but she'd said no. She didn't want him there, didn't want to owe him emotional support too. 6 hours later, the surgeon emerged smiling. The operation was successful. We removed the entire tumor. With chemotherapy, his prognosis is excellent. Adjoa collapsed in her chair, sobbing with relief. Her baby brother was going to live. She called her family in Ghana, everyone crying and praising God. For the first time in weeks, Adjoa felt something like happiness. When she returned to the mansion that night, Jinsang was waiting in the kitchen. How is he? He's going to live. She couldn't help the smile on her face. Jinsang's whole expression softened. I'm so glad. They stood in awkward silence. Thank you, Adjoa said quietly. I still don't understand why you did it, and I still don't trust you, but thank you. You don't have to trust me. I just needed to do something right for once. She nodded and went to a room. Maybe, she thought, people really could change. Over the next 2 weeks, Jinsang visited Kofi often, brought books, helped with homework, made the teenager laugh. Adjoa watched from a distance, confused by this version of him. Your boss is strange, Kofi said one day, but kind. He sat with me for 2 hours yesterday, just talking about Korea. He's not usually kind. People can change, sister. You taught me that. Adjoa wanted to believe it. Jinsang seemed different now, sober, purposeful, almost gentle. He'd started medical school again, stopped terrorizing the staff, even apologized to Mrs. Kang for years of cruelty. I don't know what you did, Mrs. Kang whispered to Adjoa one morning, but he's different, really different. Maybe you just needed to hit bottom. Maybe he needed you. Adjoa didn't respond. She'd crossed off another week on her calendar. 21 days left. Part of her didn't want to leave anymore. Part of her was curious to see if this change would last. But she'd learned not to trust good things. They always disappeared. Then came the dinner party. Park Dae-jung was hosting again, celebrating some business deal. Adjoa was serving professional and invisible. Jinsang was there, sober, polite to her. She'd almost relaxed. Then one of his father's associates, drunk and loud, grabbed her wrist as she poured wine. You're prettier than the last one, the man slurred in Korean. very exotic. Adjoa tried to pull away. Sir, please let go. Come on, don't be unfriendly. Smile for us. Jin Sang stood up. Let her go. The man laughed. Why? She's just the help. They don't mind a little attention, do they? He pulled Adjoa closer, his hand sliding to her waist. I said let her go. Jin Sang's voice was dangerous now. Park Dae-jung's eyes narrowed. Choi, release her, now. The man finally let go, laughing like it was all a joke. Adjoa stepped back, her heart racing. Jin Sang looked at her, something protective and angry in his eyes. Are you okay? She nodded, not trusting her voice, and left quickly. In the kitchen, her hands shook as she set down the wine bottle. Mrs. Kang touched her shoulder gently. That wasn't your fault. I know, but I hate feeling powerless. Later that night, Jin Sang found her in the garden. I'm sorry about Choi. My father banned him from the house. It's not your fault. Still, you shouldn't have to deal with men like that. Adjoa looked at him. You defended me. Of course I did. 2 months ago, you would have joined him in mocking me. Jin Sang flinched. I know. I was a different person then. Were you? Or are you just better at hiding it now? I deserve that. He sat on the bench, keeping distance between them. I know you don't trust me. I wouldn't either, but I'm trying, Adjoa. Really trying. She studied his face. He looked sincere, but she'd been fooled before. Why did you really give Kofi the surgery money? Because watching you suffer to save him reminded me of my mother. She sacrificed everything for me. I wasted it all. His voice was quiet. I couldn't save her. Maybe helping save Kofi is my way of honoring what she tried to teach me. It was the most honest he'd been. Adjoa felt something soften in her chest, just slightly. I've been counting down days until I could leave, she admitted, but lately I don't know if I want to anymore. Jin Sang looked at her, hope in his eyes. Don't look at me like that, she said. I still don't forgive you, but maybe I don't hate you as much. That's more than I deserve. They sat in silence, the soul night humming around them. Maybe, Adjoa thought, healing was possible. Then everything fell apart. It happened 3 days later. Adjoa came home from visiting Kofi to find the house in chaos. Broken glass in the hallway, Mrs. Kang crying in the kitchen. What happened? Jin Sang, Mrs. Kang whispered. He's been drinking. Started this morning and won't stop. He's destroying everything. Adjoa's blood ran cold. What triggered it? Today's the anniversary. 5 years since his mother died. Adjoa heard crashing from upstairs. Her first instinct was to run, to hide in her room and wait for it to pass. But something made her climb those stairs. She found Jin Sang in his mother's old room, the one that had been locked for years. He'd broken down the door. Inside, he was surrounded by broken picture frames, torn curtains, shattered mirrors, a whiskey bottle in his hand, eyes wild. Jin Sang. He spun around. Get out. You're destroying her room. It's my room to destroy. My mother. My pain. He threw the bottle at the wall. It exploded. Glass and liquid everywhere. You don't get to judge me. None of you do. I just saw it then. The change hadn't been real. Or it was too fragile, too new. The monster was still there, just waiting. I'm not judging you. I'm trying to help. I don't need your help. He grabbed a photo of his mother, raised it to throw. Don't. Adjoa's voice was sharp. Don't destroy her face. You'll regret it. I regret everything. But he lowered the photo, his hand shaking. I regret being born. I regret being such a terrible son that I couldn't even be there when she died. I regret that 5 years later, I'm still this broken. He collapsed on the floor, sobbing. Adjoa stood in the doorway, torn. Every instinct said to leave, to protect herself. He'd relapsed. The cruelty would come back. She should run. But she saw him there, destroyed by grief, and remembered her own parents' funeral, how she'd screamed at God, how she'd wanted to break everything. Against her better judgment, she walked in and sat beside him. I know, she said softly. You don't. My parents died in front of me. Car accident. I was 19. I watched the truck hit them and couldn't do anything. Her voice was steady. even though the memory still hurt. For a year after, I was angry at everyone, at God, at my siblings for needing me, at myself for surviving. Jin-sang looked at her through tears. Grief doesn't go away, she continued. It just changes shape. Some days it's manageable. Some days, like today for you, it swallows everything. I thought I was getting better. You are. But healing isn't a straight line. You'll have bad days. That's normal. I wanted to drink so badly this morning. I tried not to. I really tried. I know. But then I walked past her room and it all came back. The guilt, the shame, the anger. He looked at the destruction around them. So I broke in and started drinking. And now I've ruined everything again. Adjoa was quiet for a moment. Then, did you hurt anyone? What? Mrs. Kang is scared, but you didn't hurt her, did you? You didn't mock her or film her or destroy her things. No, I just broke my own stuff. Then you haven't ruined everything. You had a setback. That's different. Jin-sang stared at her. Why are you being nice to me? I relapsed. I'm exactly who you thought I was. No, you're someone in pain who had a bad day. The old you would have taken this pain and spread it to everyone in the house. You just broke some furniture. She managed a small smile. Progress, even if it doesn't feel like it. He laughed bitterly. You're too good, Adjoa. You should hate me. Oh, I'm still angry. You scared Mrs. Kang half to death, and you're cleaning all this up yourself. She stood. But hating you won't help either of us. She offered her hand. After a moment, he took it, and she pulled him up. Come on, let's get you sober and fed. Then tomorrow you start again. But as they left the destroyed room, Adjoa's hands were shaking. She'd been so close to believing he'd changed, so close to trusting him. Now she didn't know what to think. That night, she sat in her room staring at her calendar. 14 days left. Maybe she should just leave early, take Kofi home once he was cleared to travel, get away from this complicated, painful situation. A knock on her door interrupted her thoughts. Jin-sang stood there, sober now, cleaned up. I owe you an apology, again. You seem to owe a lot of those. I know, and I understand if you're done with me, if you want to leave. Adjoa sighed. I thought about it. I've been thinking about it all night. His face fell. But then I realized something. You're going to have bad days. Maybe a lot of them. But today, you didn't hurt anyone but yourself. That matters. Does it? Yes, because it means the change is real, even if it's messy and imperfect. She looked at him directly. But Jin-sang, I can't be your only support. You need real help. Therapy, support groups, something. I know, I called someone today. A grief counselor. I have an appointment next week. Good. They stood in awkward silence. I don't want you to leave, he said quietly. I know I have no right to ask, but please stay. Why? Why does it matter if I stay? Because you're the only person who sees me as I am and still thinks I can be better. Everyone else either fears me or babies me. You just tell me the truth. Adjoa thought about it. 14 days left on her original plan, but Kofi needed 6 more weeks of treatment. She needed the job anyway. I'll stay, she said finally, but on one condition. Anything. Next time you have a bad day, you call me before you drink, before you break things. You give me a chance to help before you spiral. Jin-sang nodded. I can do that. And you go to therapy. Actually go, not just make appointments. I will. Okay then. She moved to close the door, then paused. Jin-sang, you scared me today. Don't do that again. I won't. I promise. After he left, Adjoa marked her calendar. Then she did something she hadn't done before. She wrote a note beside the date, stayed by choice. Over the next month, things shifted. Jin-sang went to therapy twice a week, had bad days, but called Adjoa like he'd promised. She'd talk him down, sometimes just sitting with him in silence. Kofi finished his chemotherapy, the scans clear. He was going to leave. I want to stay in Korea, Kofi told Adjoa one day. Finish school here. Jin Sang said he'd help with the enrollment. Did he? He's a good man, sister. Broken, but good. Adjoa didn't correct him. Jin Sang re-enrolled in medical school full-time, started getting decent grades, stopped drinking entirely. The mansion felt different now, lighter somehow. One evening, 2 months after the relapse, Jin Sang found Adjoa in the garden. I have something to tell you. Her heart jumped. What? I'm opening a clinic for immigrants who can't afford healthcare. He looked nervous. I want you to manage it. Better pay, actual career using your psychology degree. Jin Sang, I can't. Before you say no, just think about it. You'd be helping people like you, people who come here with nothing and get treated like they're invisible. He met her eyes. And I need someone who'll tell me when I'm being an idiot. That's you. Why are you doing this? Because you showed me that privilege should be used to help, not to hurt. I spent 26 years being useless. I want to do something that matters. Adjoa studied him. The cruel boy from 3 months ago was gone. In his place stood someone still healing, still struggling, but genuinely trying. Okay, she said, I'll help, but I'm holding you to this. If you relapse into cruelty, I'm out. Deal. They shook hands, and for the first time, Adjoa smiled at him without reservation. The clinic opened 3 months later in Itaewon. Adjoa watched Jin Sang treat a Ghanaian child for free, speaking terrible Twi that made everyone laugh. You're getting better, she told him later. At Twi or at being human? Both. Park Dae-jung visited, watching his son with something like pride. He pulled Adjoa aside afterward. You did what I couldn't. You reached him. He reached himself, sir. I just didn't let him hide. Still, his mother would thank you. He handed her an envelope. For your family. To bring them here. Pay for school. Adjoa started to refuse, but he held up a hand. From Jin Sang. He was too nervous to give it himself. She took it, tears in her eyes. That night, she called her siblings in Ghana. Pack your things, you're all coming to Seoul. Her sister Amma screamed with joy. 1 year after that terrible night in the garden, Jin Sang and Adjoa stood in the same spot. The garden had bloomed under her care. Do you remember what you said to me here? He asked. I said I hated you. He laughed. You did. You also said I was drowning and pulling everyone down. You were. And now? Adjoa considered. Now you're swimming, not perfectly, but you're moving forward. Because of you. Because of you, she corrected. I just held up a mirror. You did the hard work. I still have bad days. I know, but you handle them differently now. He smiled. Yeah, I do. They stood in comfortable silence. Adjoa, yes, thank you, for not giving up on me when I'd given up on myself. Thank you for proving people can change, she smiled. Even cruel, selfish boys who destroy phones. He laughed, the sound genuine and warm. 6 months later, the clinic expanded. Adjoa's whole family had moved to Seoul. Kofi was in school, healthy and thriving. Her siblings were adapting to Korean life. Jin Sang stood in the clinic, watching Adjoa teach her sister how to manage patient files. This was redemption. Messy, imperfect, but real. His mother would be proud. He caught Adjoa's eye across the room. She smiled at him, that knowing smile that said she understood everything without words. He smiled back. People asked Adjoa later how she survived Jin Sang, how she changed him, but that was the wrong question. She didn't survive him. She saw him, past the monster mask to the broken person underneath, and she refused to let him hide there. She came to Korea desperate and alone. She left that desperation behind, not because life got easy, but because she learned that strength wasn't about being unbreakable. It was about breaking, then choosing to rebuild. Her name was Adjoa Mensah. She was a Ghanaian woman who came to Korea with nothing but faith and determination. She learned that cruelty often masked pain, that healing wasn't linear, that change was possible, but only for people brave enough to face themselves. And she learned that sometimes the people who hurt us the most, can become the ones who help us heal if we're willing to let them try. Jin Sang stood beside her as they locked up the clinic. Ready to go home, he asked. Home, not the mansion, not Ghana, but Seoul, this strange city that had broken her and rebuilt her into someone stronger. Yeah, she said, let's go home. Two broken people who'd saved each other. And that was enough. What do you think made Jin Sang truly change? Was it the relapse that showed him he needed real help, or was it Adjoa's refusal to give up on him? Have you ever had a setback while trying to change? Drop your thoughts in the comments.